Have you ever just finished a day and felt totally drained? Not from work, but from your relationships. Like you're constantly giving out little pieces of yourself and all you're getting back is exhaustion. It's a super common feeling, but guess what? There's actually a way to fix it, to protect your energy and bring some real order to your social world. It's a framework called the hierarchy of trust. So let's dive in and see how this can literally map out your life. It really all comes down to this one simple question. But man, is it a tough one? Who in your life truly, and I mean truly, deserves your deepest trust, your vulnerability, your time? If you have to pause and think about it, hey, you are definitely not alone.
And that's exactly where this framework comes into play. The best way to think about it is like a map for your relationships. The hierarchy of trust uses these really simple concentric circles to help you figure out precisely who belongs where in your life. It's all about being intentional with your most valuable resource, your emotional energy. All right, so we're going to start our little tour right at the dead center of your universe. This is the foundation. This is the most protected space, the one that really defines who you are. This first circle, it's called the core, and the name says it all right. It is completely non-negotiable. This is the zone for those lifetime bonds, the absolute bedrock of your entire existence. So, what does it take to get into the core? Well, we're talking about unconditional love. These are the people you would sacrifice for without even thinking about it, and they'd do the same for you. The level of trust here is just absolute. There's zero fear of betrayal. These connections have fundamentally shaped you into the person you are today. And listen, this circle is incredibly exclusive. So who belongs here? For most of us, it's going to be our parents and siblings, but it can also include your deepest beliefs, your nation, your dharma, your core values. And maybe, way down the line, a spouse who is just perfectly aligned with all of those values might get an invitation into this sacred space. Now, here's the rule for the circle, and it's an absolute. No outsider ever enters the circle. This isn't a space for your best friend, no matter how close you are. Think of it as a sealed, protected foundation. It's permanent. Okay, moving just one circle out from that fortress, we land in the inner core. This is your emotional trust zone. Now, the relationships here are also incredibly deep, but there's one massive difference from the core. These relationships are conditional. So, who gets access to this circle? Well, we're talking about maybe 1 to 3 of your most loyal friends. The ones, they've seen you at your worst, they've stood by you when you failed, and they have never, ever used your vulnerability against you. A true mentor, someone who genuinely wants the best for you, could also earn a spot right here. But here's the crucial part. The rule for the inner core is strict. It is unforgiving. If trust breaks, it results in an immediate demotion. That's it. There are no second chances at this level. Emotional safety is everything. And once that's shattered, that relationship has to be moved to an outer circle. Period. Okay, so now that we're leaving those really intense inner zones, let's start navigating the rest of your social sphere. These next circles are where boundaries become the single most important tool you have. The next 2 circles, the middle and outer circles, are honestly where most of us get things mixed up. But the distinction is actually pretty simple. The middle circle has a real emotional connection, but, and this is a big but, it's managed with super strict boundaries. The outer circle, on the other hand, is almost entirely functional. It's based on situations, not deep feeling. So let's look closer at that middle circle. This is for people you genuinely care about, like close relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, and maybe a few colleagues you have a real bond with. You have real affection for them, but you don't share your deepest fears or your secret plans with them. The rule here is simple: love with limits. And now, the outer circle. This is where most of your college friends, general acquaintances, and your neighbors are going to live. These connections are usually tied to a specific time or place. You enjoy their company, for sure, but there is absolutely no emotional dependence. The simple rule here: enjoy the good times, but expect nothing. All right, we're at the very edge of our relationship map now. This is the social circle. The best way to think about this one is as your courtesy zone. This circle governs pretty much all the formal and public interactions you have day to day. This circle is for those distant relatives you only see at weddings, most of your social media contacts, and all the people you meet at events. And the rule here is just simple and brilliantly effective. Smile, talk, move on. It's all about being polite and maintaining social grace with absolutely zero emotional investment. And now, we get to what might just be the most important category of them all. This isn't a circle of connection. It's a boundary of protection. This is the no access zone. This is where you consciously and deliberately place people who cost you your peace. You know who I'm talking about. The manipulators, the chronic complainers, the people who just suck the energy out of a room, or anyone who is consistently disrespectful. Putting them here isn't mean, it's an act of self-preservation. And the rule for this zone is so empowering. No explanation, no guilt. You do not owe anyone an explanation for protecting your own mental and emotional well-being. You just deny access and you move forward, completely guilt-free. Okay, let's make this super practical. Just look at this chart. That childhood friend who stayed loyal through thick and thin, boom, inner core. That other childhood friend you only really share old memories with, they go in the outer circle. A relative who is genuinely supportive, middle circle. But a relative who's toxic and draining, straight to the no access zone. See, it's not their title that matters, it is always their behavior. So, now that we get the circles, let's zoom out and look at the key principles, the mindsets you need to really master this whole framework and protect your peace for good. If you remember one thing, make it this. Blood decides entry, behavior decides position, time decides permanence. What does that mean? Well, someone might be family, that's their entry ticket, but it's their behavior that determines which circle they actually belong in. And over time, that position is either locked in or changed based on how they consistently act. Behavior is always the final judge. And all of this leads to this profound level of what you could call relational maturity. And it's built on these 3 pillars. Number 1, not everyone deserves access to you. Number 2, not every bond you have deserves your deep emotional investment. And number 3, not every single emotion you feel needs to be expressed to everyone. That right there is true emotional intelligence. So there you have it. We've walked through the entire hierarchy, from that unbreakable core all the way out to the protective no-access zone. You officially have the map. So the only question left is, who in your life needs to be moved? Take a second, really think about it, and start protecting your peace today.